just one day I said, I keep talking about, I want to buy a rental. I want to rehab houses. I want to get into investing. And I just told myself one day, my wife said, stop talking about it. Go out and do something. So that's what we do. We go out. I don't talk about it. I be about it. And the minute that you stop trying to study every aspect and just get your feet wet, I think that was the turning point for me.
I love the term. What is it? Don't get paralysis by analysis. Just go,
Right.
just do.
For me, we always say, don't talk about it, be about it. Go out there and do it, man. Come on.
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/050. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have former police officer turned investor agent, Joe Jordan, on the call. Joe's been absolutely dominating this whole investment game since he joined the Three Doors Deal Maker program about 14 months ago. I asked him what the best run that he's had so far in the last year, and his record was 6 contracts in 6 weeks. He averaged 1 contract a week for 6 weeks. So just phenomenal results for someone that was just kind of been in our world for just a few months now. So investors, if you're local to St. Louis, just a public service announcement, we have 2 phenomenal resources that can help you do more deals. Three Doors Funding has access to over $20 million of cash that it lends out right here in St. Louis. Go to threedoorsfunding.com to fill out an application and get approved. If you're a wholesaler, email us at deals@threedoors.com with the properties that you have. We have an entire sales force that's built relationships with our exclusive buyers that can pay top dollars for properties. Our buyers are all vetted and approved by Three Doors Funding. So if one of our buyers says that they want your house, you can kind of be certain that they have the money to close on the deal. And you can leverage our sales force, get top dollar for deals in less time, and put together deals that you were thought were dead. Over the last couple of years, we've been putting together deals that we would have considered dead before that, because of some of the buyers that we have and some of the resources that we have available and some of the strategies and techniques that, quite frankly, we've just developed over a 13-year body of work. So even if you think a deal's dead, send it on over to deals@threedoors.com and we can get started and help put together a deal with you. So final announcement for the agents listening in on this call. This doesn't matter actually where you live. Over the past year, we've sold over $60 million in real estate by attracting the right relationships to us. We have a challenge where we're going on right now where we can show you how to create 5 key relationships for your business that will generate you $5 million in sales every year like clockwork. So go to doorstodeals.com/050 for more information on that challenge. So reach out to us, guys. Hopefully we can do a deal together soon, and let's get started on the interview.
How's it going today, guys? We have Joe with us here, and we're super excited to talk with Joe about how he kind of switched from being an agent to going to an agent investor, and what he's doing today to build his rental portfolio. So thanks for joining us today, Joe.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. So let's get it going.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you like to do in your spare time? What fills your time when you're not doing real estate?
Well, besides my kids driving me crazy, I try to get out and play some golf. We're members over at Whitmore, so haven't been able the past couple of weeks. We've been a little busy, but try to play a couple times a week. So
nice. What's give us something funny or embarrassing about yourself that you haven't talked about in forever?
Oh God, I don't know. Some fun or embarrassing. I don't know, man.
Come on, think hard. There's got to be something.
You're frozen.
There's got to be something in your college days, something like that.
Oh man, I can't think of anything right now. Put me on the spot like that, man. I don't know.
So let's go forward. What took you from the transition of being a cop to wanting to get into real estate?
I just always wanted to, the more I work, the more money I make. In a job like that, you work 80 hours a week or you work 30 hours a week, you're stagnant, right? The income doesn't change. You can't change your life in the aspect of financial freedom, right? So I've always wanted to get in real estate, and I took the leap, and it was the best decision I think I've ever made. So,
how long ago was that?
I got out of law enforcement back in 2016. So I'm coming up on 5 years, almost 5 years out in July. Yeah.
Okay, so 2016, you go full time in real estate. What's your first venture? Where do you go to? What brokerage?
So I was with Remax Vision, and they picked up my license, and I was just kind of learning the business that way, and just doing your normal showing houses, trying to list some houses, and just trying to stay afloat, right? So what a lot of agents struggle with.
What helped you make it through? What helped you make it through that first 2 years where we see such a high dropout rate?
I mean, what was great with the team I was on is they provided a ton of leads, right? A ton of support, but the pay wasn't necessarily up to par from what I was expecting. And so I was able to take those leads and build some of my own pipeline. But then in about 2019, I was able to raise some money and actually purchase my own rehab while being a full-time agent.
So 2018 was the first rehab you ever purchased?
2019, yeah. 2019. Yeah. I actually signed the paperwork in the waiting room of the hospital. My daughter was born 30 minutes later.
That's a crazy story. So
yeah, they actually came to me to the hospital because my wife's water broke, and then all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, you guys got to come to me or I can't close today. And so we made it work, and that's a cool story that my wife and I still laugh about. She's calling me like, dude, you gotta get back up here. I'm like, I'm trying as fast as I can. So that was a fun story. So
yeah. So tell us a little bit about that property. How'd it go?
So an agent in my office actually was trying to do some wholesaling himself and actually gave me that one. Picked it up for 80. Ended up being into that one for about 60 or 65 grand in rehab cost. And we sold it day one for 215. So I ended up profiting, after all said and done, about 33,000. So that, that kind of gets you excited about rehabbing houses, right? Get a big check like that.
Absolutely. So, so was there how'd the rehab go? Like working with the contractors, anything that came up on that one, or?
Literally everything that possibly could come up on that one probably did for me. Furnace goes out on the coldest day of the year. The roof had to be replaced. The deck, we got, the city came out and said, well, it wasn't put up right. Tear it down, put it back up. I mean, literally, it was a gut rehab job. But I mean, I got lucky with my contractors, and then they stopped, GCing. So moving forward, I didn't have them anymore. But other than that, it was a pretty smooth job for my first one, I would say, compared to some of the other ones I've done. So,
did you have a big mindset shift, kind of like through that process of flipping that house, or what changed in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, the seed and the itch definitely got there that I'm like, I don't know if I want to do retail real estate anymore, right? I don't know if I want to show 20 houses to lose out and, spend my weekends missing out or fielding 1,000 phone calls on a listing. That I've always kind of wanted to be in the in the investment side anyway. And that was definitely kind of the turning point that kind of led me down this road, right? So.
All right. Yeah. So what happened next? So you made the 30K, and what happened next?
So I ended up buying another one in Florissant that July or August of that year. And that one was a nightmare. Got stuck with a bad contractor, gave me a 4-week timeline, and it ended up being 10 months. That one, it was definitely a learning experience. You don't pay them too much up front. You definitely learned a lot out of that one. But it was still profitable. It was still a good deal. And then I did another one a couple blocks away a few months after that. So, and those were the three that I did outside of Three Doors. So,
what was the biggest lesson you learned about the 10-month rehab besides paying him too much?
Well, it wasn't necessarily paying too much. I thought I bought the deal right. It was how to manage a contractor, how to vet a contractor, right? That you have to almost babysit these grown men for doing what they're doing, the timeline that they're doing it. I put a lot of trust in them, and I learned that when you're rehabbing a house, you can't just pop up every couple weeks. You gotta be there almost a couple times a week, right, to make sure they're doing what they're doing and the timeline's on track, right? And that that was one of the biggest things I've noticed. So.
That I would say that's one thing that I've learned over the years. If you're not there 2 to 3 days a week, even if it's for 15 minutes, if you're not there 2 to 3 days a week, something's going to go wrong. You cannot go that long with not stopping.
Well, that, and then sometimes these guys get lax and he's not going to show up. I can go to another job, or I can do this. You want to make sure that you hired him for the priority of your job and he stays on timeline. Because as we all know, delays cost us money, and we have to make sure we're staying on budget and our timeline, right? So,
yep.
So that's a big difference when you rehab a house now is you don't give them as big of a leash. Like, you make sure.
And it's nothing against them, right? Like, we use Jason Shaver and a lot of guys that we use through Three Doors a lot, and these guys are great, but I just don't give them that big of a leash anymore. And it's nothing against them. It's not that we don't trust our contractors and they're not doing their job. It's more for your own peace of mind too, right? That things are getting done when they're supposed to get done.
Yeah. So, all right, you do 3 deals on your own, and then you decide to partner with Three Doors.
Correct.
What attracted you to Three Doors? What changed? Why leave Remax and come to Keller Williams?
So it was Three Doors they're established in the market, right? They clearly are doing something right. So I wanted to be a part of it. And then I actually went to the website to try to join the network, and I saw they had an opening for acquisition manager. So I applied, and after a few interviews, talking with Ryan and a few guys on the team, I realized very quickly this was a good fit and a team that was going to push me at the same mindset and direction that I wanted to go as well.
Yeah, and now you've built a great rental portfolio in such a short amount of time. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I know you've built a ton of equity and your cash flow is fantastic. Tell us some of the stories about how you got those rentals and how you're working those.
Yeah, so I'm want to grow it even bigger than it is now, but right now I currently have 3, mostly in North County. My very first one was actually a subject to property. I assumed their mortgage, but it needed a little bit of work, so we rehabbed it. And I actually just closed on the refinance on it yesterday. But that deal, I have about $33,000 in equity, and I'm cash flowing just over $300 a month. And then the other 2, between the 3, I'm going to be cash flowing over $1,100 a month, and I'm at about $112,000 in equity.
Yeah, that's not bad. How long do you own those 3 to have $100+ K in equity?
I've owned those 3 since January.
So 6 months.
So in this year, yeah. So
in 5 months, you built $100K in equity.
Correct. Yeah. And hopefully we can keep building on that and continue to go. And that's what's great about Three Doors too, is these deals come across that we get a chance to look at, right? That's you. So.
Okay, so let's break it down. So how'd you find these deals? Let's kind of talk about these deals and kind of the structure that you did on them.
So the very first one was actually, she worked at the police department with me. She reached out. She said, "Hey, you're an agent, right?" I'm like, yeah, she goes, can you come out and tell me what my house is worth? We need to sell. We need to sell pretty quick. They're in forbearance. They're in pretty rough shape, right? They knew they weren't going to be able to pay that back. And there's a chance they might lose their house. So I came out and I was brutally honest, and I gave them two options. Like, here's a cash offer, here's your listing offer, and then here's this creative financing offer. And both the cash and the listing, they were probably going to have to bring some money to the table. And they ended up going with the creative financing offer, and it was a win-win for everybody. They were able to walk away from a house, and actually I think they got about $4,500 at closing. And then, I was able to pick up a property that at about 60 cents on the dollar. And that's how I was able to build a lot of equity on that deal.
So one of the things that so we've been doing these creative financing deals now for a couple of years. But one of the things I had never, before we started working on them, I had never really thought about was how important terms are. Like literally we were talking on Tuesday, just a couple days ago. Shows you how the days all run into each other. It was yesterday, not a couple days ago, right? But we were looking at a deal on like on buying with terms and then just buying in a more traditional route. And there was a $15,000 swing in the offer price for pretty much the same profit margin over 2 years. And then after 2 years, the higher price point actually becomes more profitable for us on the deal. So that's something like a huge lesson that I've learned here recently.
I would say that first deal I did is a good example, Jim, because we offered them $68,000 for a cash offer. They accepted it. We had some title issues come up. We had to back out. 3 months later, they called me back and I said, I reached back out to them and said, hey, I might actually have a scenario where I can pay a little bit more for your house and get you guys still out of it. We raised the price $22,000 for them because we were able to buy it on terms. And that alone was able to get them out of their bad situation and then allow me to pick up a great rental property.
That is awesome.
That's so cool. How hard was it to explain to them why that was better? I mean, or was it kind of just you showed them the numbers and the deal made sense to them?
Yeah. I try to be real. A lot of these, homeowners don't understand our lingo, don't understand the ins and outs. It comes easy to us, but it doesn't to them. It's Spanish, right? So I try to be as simplistic as I can when I'm explaining these. Like, look, the only difference is I have to take over your mortgage, but I can offer you this much and you guys are going to get some cash, or you guys can list it for this and have to bring cash to the table. And then if they have, if they show any interest in either one of those options, that's where I sit down with them and I say, I actually put the numbers on paper and we sit down and explain it. Because there's no point if they don't have any interest in it. If you start going into all these terms and details and whatnot, they're not going to know what you're talking about. You're going to confuse them and you might lose the deal. Mainly because they're just getting confused and feel overwhelmed.
So how important has it been, like when we talk about some of the nuances with investing, to like have the right mentorship, the right people around you to like help get used to it?
It's invaluable because there's not if I own a real estate company myself, who am I going to call when I have a question or an issue pops up or what's going on? Anytime, I just got the phone with Ryan Wessels about 3 deals that we were looking at. And it just straight, hey, can I ask your opinion on this? I want your opinion. Jim, hey, we talk all the time. And I'm like, hey, I kind of had this idea. How do we put it in motion? How can we do this? Right. There's a lot of where I'm at today would not be that way if I didn't have people to lean on and call on. And that's one thing I've learned too. It's really hard for a lot of us in this business to ask for help. And that's the one thing that we really need. People need to do more is we're not competing against each other. We all can help each other out with it.
Tell me more about that, because that's important. I elaborate on that.
Just having the experience that Three Doors offers, and everyone in our office, even the new guys compared to the more experienced guys, everyone has something to offer, right? It has a different perspective. And like I said, we're not really competing against each other because there might be an investor who wants to do turnkey properties, and that's not what I want to do, or maybe wants to tackle Section 8, and we can all help each other out with that. I can tell you the learn upon. I've learned, it's nice having those pre-recorded messages, or trainings that we can go to, and then just all the resources that come to us, the funding. I don't have to worry about buying a property. I know it's done.
So what's interesting too on like just kind of like the mentorship like that we're talking about, like for these creative financing deals, Ryan and I have been investing for over 10 years and done hundreds and hundreds, thousands of deals. And for these, we brought in a mentor too. Jason Courtney's been our mentor on these. And yes, we could have figured it out on our own because we've already been investing for over 10 years, but just the nuances and having someone to be able to say, this is the right way to do it, shortens a learning curve by 3-4 years. And quite frankly, I don't want to spend 3-4 years learning it on my own when I could just pick up the phone, ask a question to the right person and have them tell me exactly how to do it right away.
That when you're analyzing the deal, the anxiety goes down when you have another guy who's done it 100 times. He owns 100, creative financing deals or rentals. And you say, can you help me evaluate this deal? Like, what do you think? And when he says, Joe, you buy this deal. If you pass on it, I'm buying. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm buying it. I'm done. I trust you, Jason, because clearly you're doing really well at it. And that you don't get that if you're on your own or,
I think some people
have people to count on.
Some people get a big ego about mentors and they're like, oh, I don't need a mentor. And I think at one point in my career, I even hit that. And then I learned that Warren Buffett still had a mentor. And I was like, if Warren Buffett has a mentor, I need one bad. And so I think anyone who's new, you almost can't afford not to have a mentor. Like if you're not paying like what that small fee is for a mentorship or some type of coach, you're leaving money on the table.
And here's the deal. Like, yeah, we have the network you can plug in. We have the monthly mastermind calls. We have things that you can plug into. I don't care, quite frankly, if you plug into our stuff or not. If you're listening to this, like on the kind of the open source podcast and not on the live call, like some of our members are, but find somebody you can trust, find somebody. I mean, like, so this deal that Joe just put together, without us having the right people around us, like we wouldn't even thought about it. We've been investing 10 years before we even just thought about it being an option that was like even in our language or our vocabulary. And that's what having the right people around you does. So, okay. So, anything, let's go back to the deals that you have. Like, so you talked about the first couple. I think was there a third one that we can kind of dive into a little bit as well?
What, on rental side?
Yeah, on the rental side. Yeah.
That one I just picked up from Jason Courtney, actually. It's over in Florissant. We're putting about $3,000 into it to pass occupancy, and then hopefully we'll get somebody in there. But that's probably my best rental deal. I picked that one up for $137. We're going to lease to purchase that one out for $190. So I mean, you can. I'll be in that one all together for about $145. So I'm at $45,000 in equity and over $500 a month in cash flow.
Yeah.
Once we place the tenant.
And you're using like Nick and Tony to place these tenants too.
Yeah, I'm not even. That's what's great too, is when I'm not worried about placing a tenant. I know it's going to get placed because again, we have the systems in place. My job is to acquire the property. I pass off to Nick and say, hey, it's ready to be move someone in whenever, and it's done. I don't even think about it anymore. I just wait for Nick to call me and say, hey, they're moving in on the 8th. Okay. Make sure they sign up for Clear now. And we're all good to go. Thanks. And then I don't even worry about it. I ask when are they moving in, and send me the signed documents, and we're done. And that's how it is a lot of the times. I mean, with a lot of the different deals we do, from wholesales to rehabs to turnkey properties as well, not just rentals.
So let's going back to mentors. What are some big other ones you've had through like mentors, like some breakthroughs you've had, some ceilings that maybe a mentor's helped you with? because I think too many people don't realize how important having mentors, and that's something that we could definitely help some people with through this episode.
Well, I mean, we all kind of, real estate can be very emotional when you're dealing with other people's egos, right? Like, so there's times where you kind of get ticked off at another agent or their investor and you think, screw this. Or the numbers just don't make sense. I'm not wasting my time on it. And I can't tell you how many times Ryan Wessels says, Joe, let's make sure we cross every bridge before we cross this deal off. Like, there's a deal here. Don't just the numbers, just because your numbers don't work this way, let's try a different way. Right. So the one thing I think the biggest way I've learned, and then I try to pass along to some of the new guys on the team, is just let's make sure we cross every bridge before we count it as a dead deal. I guarantee you I've done 5 to probably 8 deals this year that normally would have probably been dead if I didn't have somebody to ask and get the advice on what to do.
So the most dramatic example I have of that from all the deals we did last year is there was a deal that we had marked dead in our system that came back to the surface. I forget why it did. And somehow, some way, I ended up starting to look at it with Jason Courtney. And we looked through the numbers on the file, like wholesale of rehab. No, that's not going to work. It's in Ladue Schools, which is like one of the best school districts in St. Louis. A new construction tear down. No, the lot's not quite perfect for that. And then we looked at it from like an addition standpoint. And we looked at it from the addition standpoint. We ended up turning a deal that we thought was dead until I was like immediately locked that contract up for what they're asking for. We have the comparables. We found these comparables that we can show the value. And then it was a pretty easy, clean wholesale that was, we turned something that was dead into I think it was around a $20,000 wholesale profit. And it was just all about just making sure you go through all the avenues. And at that point, we forgot to look at the addition option.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you just can't mark anything dead till you cross everything off. Right. I mean, I think that's where a lot of investors out there in the market struggle too. They're like, oh, that house is overpriced. Well, I picked one up in Northwoods that no one paid $55,000 for that we're selling turnkey for 95. I mean, those deals come up all the time. They think it's not a deal, but we know with the resources we have that we can turn deals that some investors can't do into profitable stuff for us. So.
Yeah. And sometimes it's about being creative, guys. Like there's a property by my gym where I work out in that we got outbid by about $100,000 on the property. And I remember thinking like, they are insane. That's like the dumbest idea ever to overpay that much. And then they end up turning it into like a senior care facility, like a more of like a boutique type of facility. And they have an incredible investment. They're making really, I know they're making really good money on it, but they thought of a different way than we had that, was even outside the normal, like kind of like the norm on what your normal exit strategies are. And I remember just kind of like it checked my ego a little bit. I was like, well, I missed that one. And it's okay to miss stuff, right? But Caleb, can you think of anything like that? Any deals that you've worked on like that?
I had one. It was a commercial space, and I was looking at it from an office standpoint. And it used to be a chiropractor office. And what I was looking past is the X-ray room, which for me, I wasn't thinking of how expensive these are to install. And it was set up perfectly for office spaces. And it was in a good location in town. There was no office spaces, small offices, or good rent. And I made an offer on it. And I was like, oh man, there's some office space. I was going to make a lot of money. And then somebody paid $50,000 more than me. And I was like, what on earth? Like, what are they going to do with this? And they ended up putting an urgent care in. And I never even thought of it. And that urgent care now, every time I drive by, I'm so mad because the entire parking lot's full. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, I was looking at office space was rents for like way, way, way less than an urgent care. So yeah, I definitely had a big whoops there about 3 years ago. It probably could have made me millions at this point.
Right. Just you live and learn, right? That's what's great with this business is we can move. You just got to move on too with those bad days too, right? So just we learn from it, and we know next time you're going to make sure that you can't put an urgent care in an office space right there, right?
One of my favorite quotes, I learned it in Bold as a Bulldog. It's when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I think that like is so important when we're looking at deals is understanding all the different ways to look at deals. And then when you're bouncing them off people, they can change the way that you might look at the deal too and make it a win-win.
Sure.
Because had I mentioned that, so I have a friend who is in the urgent care business I talked to like a year ago about that deal. And he's like, you have no idea that like immediately I could have told you that you should put in urgent care there. Wasn't my expertise at the time.
Sure. And that comes back to sometimes you got to ask for advice and ask for help, right? I mean, if you had that mentor that knew something about that, you might have done that deal then.
Yeah.
Right. And it comes back, it comes full circle. That's one thing I've learned is just, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to lean on other people too. So that's what I love about Three Doors so much is that we're all working together. We're not competing.
And so it's interesting, like if I can add to what Caleb just said too, on the change the way you look at things. So because we've just been investing for so long now, like I can't really ever like take that hat off. And recently my brother and my family are kind of buying a house so that my brother can move into. And so I've been acting as a buyer's agent. I haven't been a buyer's agent for 6-7 years, something like that now, since we've really had the team going and everything like that. And we go and we look at a house and it's like, as is a dump. And my family is like, no way, Dan, you're not living in that house. And I look at it and I say, well, that's fine. But if you're not going to write an offer, and I am, because I think this could be a good deal, and they're like, well, that's fine. But like, so even as a buyer's agent, guys, like every single house you go to, obviously the right thing is to take care of your client. If the client wants to buy it, absolutely. I mean, that's, like we have a code of ethics to uphold, but if they don't want to buy it, it could be a great investment opportunity. Put in an offer on it.
Every house is a deal for the right price.
Yeah.
Every house is a deal for the right price. And you buyer's agents, you walk through deals every day. And the fact you're not spending 10 minutes to write offers on those at ridiculously low prices, write 50 offers and get them all rejected. But if you get the one that you get 50,000 under because that person needs the money, then it's a deal.
And you already did the hard work of walking through the property and taking a look at it. Like, heck, why not?
Our most profitable deal this year that we will have bought, on me particularly, is a listing that was listed at 425 that we got under contract at 285. And it had been at 425 for 6 months, and we got the deal under 285, and our profit on that's north of $100,000.
It's crazy. Opportunities everywhere.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is okay. So you've had the rentals going with the exit strategies, of kind of doing the rent to own. What are you what are you working on now? Like, what are you, you're kind of starting to focus on partnering with wholesalers. Is that? Tell me a little bit about that. Hey guys, for those of you that are local to St. Louis, I wanted to make sure you knew about an amazing resource that we have to help do some extra deals. You can email our team at deals@threedoors.com. And just so you know, we do deals with other investors all the time. Like, it's been hundreds and hundreds over the years, and we've averaged over 100 deals with other investors per year for over the last 5 years. We can straight up buy the deal if you have a wholesale under contract that you want to sell. If you need funding to finance a flip, or like you're doing a burst strategy, we have funding available for you. If you're trying to wholesale a deal, we're doing JV wholesale deals with other wholesalers that, quite frankly, some of the deals we're putting together for a beginner or an intermediate investor, they'd probably be walking away from because we have systems and processes, and we have buyers in place that are paying top dollar for these properties. So make sure you use this resource. And the best way to get and the easiest way is to just send us an email, deals@threedoors.com. All right, back to the episode. what are you what are you working on now? Like, what are you, you're kind of starting to focus on partnering with wholesalers. Is that, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, so outside of a few rehabs I have going right now, we're starting up a division of 3 doors where we're working with a ton of wholesalers because we have a ton of buyers. And not only that, but we can take the certainty where the easy button. We want to become the easy button for wholesalers. If you have a property and you want to know that it's sold in the first 48 hours, you need to send it to us. If you want certainty that it's going to go for the price that you want or fairly close within 48 hours, you need to send it to us. Because we have buyers, we have the resources, we fund to our buyers that can pay more. And that certainty, that easy button, if you don't have to spend time on dispositions on a house that might take you 5 to 10 hours a month on, you might be able to go get another deal. And that's what we're trying to provide to other wholesalers in the market.
So kind of the easy button for wholesalers.
Easy button for wholesalers and with buyers. If you're an investor looking for something, let us know. We have a ton of deals that come across our desk too, right? If you're worried about if you're out there going, man, well, I want to do a rehab, but I don't have the funds for it and I don't know where to find the deal, come talk to me or Bryant, right? Like we're the easy button for everybody when it comes to investing.
So there's a lot of ways to make money in real estate. A realtor, you can flip houses, landlord, wholesale, you name it. You can lead generate with B2B with wholesalers. You can lead generate with direct to seller. What about for you personally? What about kind of like this niche and really working with wholesalers has been something that you've gravitated towards? What do you think?
I think the main reason is that it's just there's kind of no BS with it, right? I mean, if the numbers make sense, the numbers make sense. If they don't, we're still going to help you try to move that deal. We're still going to try to help you make money on it because we want you to keep sending us stuff. But at the end of the day, I know it's a motivated seller, right? They're already under contract. I know that this house is for sale for at least a decent price, if not a great price. And we can buy it or we have somebody to facilitate that too, right? I mean, our goal is to make sure 250 people are financially free in 10 years, right? So we're not trying to make a killing on everybody. And we're trying to help make sure everyone's happy and making money. So why can't we do it together? Like I said, we're not competing, we're working together on this. So let's work together. Send us your deals. Send us, if you want to buy a house, talk to us, see how we can help you. So
how easy is it for a wholesaler to send us their deal? So what do they have to do? Tell us about that.
So if they send it to deals@3doors.com, it's going to come to me and Bryant. Bryant's, I'm sure most people know who Bryant is at this point, our connector in 3 Doors, right? I'm going to evaluate the property within 48 hours. We'll have an answer for you, pending being able to see the house in person, right? If we can't get it sold, if we can't buy it or sell it to one of our buyers, we're going to blast it on the Deal Hub. We're going to send it to our 1,000+ cash buyers list at no cost. We're going to help you. And I guarantee you there's not anybody else out there who's wholesaling that's willing to say, I'm going to help you market your property if I can't buy it in 48 hours. So if you can send it to me first, it's either going to be sold or it's going to be marketed and probably seen to a ton more eyes than if you're by yourself than you can reach, unless you developed a massive cash buyers list, right? But even then, we might have a cash buyer that you don't have. So who knows? So
well, it's funny is like you talk about this, like I really didn't have an awareness of this, but until the last couple of years with the deals we've been able to put together. But there was like a fire damaged house that we would have. Were you on this one or was it Bryant on this one?
I was not on this one. But I mean, I have a story where a wholesaler couldn't move the property and we ended up having a buyer.
Well, like, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, let's go into that one. But on this particular one, on the fire damaged house, I think the numbers were like, we normally would have had to buy the property for about 15. And we were able to, the wholesaler needed like 35. We had a buyer that could buy it for 40. And the buyer that could buy it for 40 legitimately was going to make the same profit margin as we would have had we bought it for 15, because the buyer was going to self-perform and had already worked with fire damaged houses before. So just knew all the ins and outs and how to really manage the cost of the renovation. And so like some of the things that we have on this are, we just, even 2 years ago, we weren't doing some of the stuff that we're doing now. Like, so it's been a body of work of 13 plus years, kind of building this up and setting up the framework. And so brand new people are, been doing this for a few years. Joe's kind of working on letting you just kind of plug right in and get those advantages without having to spend 10 plus years working on this. So anyway, you had another deal like that, Joe. Well, tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, we had a wholesaler that honestly, he thought this is a house you got to rehab. It's a house you got to rehab. It's a house you got to rehab. Well, the ARV is not there. He sent it to us, and I look at it. Me and Ryan, again, ask for help. Hey, Ryan, I'm not seeing this here. Before I tell him no, what do you think? And Ryan goes, across the street, someone tore one down, and a builder bought it, and the ARV is $600,000, not 125. So get it under contract, and I'm going to call my builder. Ask him if we can have 2 days. We had 2 days. Within 24 hours, we had an offer. He got his number, and we made $17,000 on that deal. All because we were able to connect people.
And the wholesaler,
and in the wholesaler's mind, he never would have thought as a tear down and to rebuild there.
Yeah,
but we had the resources and we knew that market because just from our connections, right? So,
and if that's the approach that the wholesaler was doing, a high percentage of deals like that actually end up falling apart, because if you aren't thinking within the right lens, you're not finding the right buyer.
He was a couple days away from losing, like having to terminate it.
Yeah,
his contingency period was almost up. And they don't want to extend. So you tell them pretty quick. And we did. And we ended up he didn't make quite as much, but in his eyes, it was a deal that he wasn't going to get. And we were able to turn it into something for everybody.
Now that guy's going to send you every single piece of business he gets first.
Well, yeah.
I mean, so he's going to be so loyal to you, right? Like, how do you not do that when somebody saves your butt on a deal?
I couldn't agree more.
That's funny.
So, yeah, I mean, this business. It's fun. That's what I love about this business too, right? I mean, you get to come to work. I don't work every day, man. I just show up and get to have fun and make some money, and I get to change my life for my kids, change the life for my family. Something that being a police officer, making, at best with overtime, $50,000 a year to where now I'm able to go on vacations more often and spend more time with my kids. It's fun. I love it.
And you're building a rental portfolio that's going to fund the life that you want to live with them when you don't want to work anymore, and help build a lasting wealth for them. And they're going to learn so much too. And it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's so exciting. And again, everyone's definition of success is different, right? You just have to figure out what it is, set your goals and work towards it. I mean, you got, like you were talking about changing your mindset, things you look at are different. I had to change my mindset too. When I got into this, that this isn't a job. This is a business that I'm building. This is a legacy. Once I changed that mindset, things started changing rapidly for me.
How hard was it to change your mindset? I mean, did it happen overnight?
No. And I don't know what exactly it was that made me do it, but I developed a saying that, we have saying around our house now. How my 3-year-old son even says it when I say I don't want to do something. I'm like, damn it, I wish I wouldn't have taught him that, because now he just says it to me all the time. But we say, don't talk about it, be about it. I mean, my wife even says that to me. We say, I don't want to get up and do dishes. Well, do it. And just one day I said, I keep talking about, I want to buy a rental. I want to rehab houses. I want to get into investing. And I just told myself one day, my wife said, stop talking about it. Go out and do something. So that's what we do. We go out, and I don't talk about it. I be about it. And the minute that you stop trying to study every aspect and just get your feet wet, I think that was the turning point for me.
I love the term, what is it? Don't get paralysis by analysis. Just go,
Right.
Just do.
We always say, don't talk about it, be about it. Go out there and do it, man. Come on.
For me, getting
myself. You want to make 100 calls a day? Go out and make 100 calls a day.
So I like to look at things. I got this from Ryan Serhan, actually. I like to look at things as a race. So some days when I'm having a tough day and I don't want to get up and I don't want to perform and I don't want to show up and be about it, as I'm walking out my door, I'll put one foot out and I look at myself and I say, 1, 2, 3, go. And that day's a race. And I need to just push myself as hard as I can to go do the stuff I need to do that sometimes I don't want to. And then at the end of it, when I get to come home and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I got out and I did that today. So for me, that works. For you guys listening, try and give yourself a race sometimes. If you put one foot out the door and just 1, 2, 3, go.
So I love that too. And I actually have a note here that I was going to bring up if something like this came up. And I talk about this all the time is, I don't know how many people, I didn't realize how in depth Kobe Bryant was. We lost Kobe, but you watch some of the videos about how his work ethic was and what he did. There was a story this guy was talking about, and he went to his practice and he's like watching Kobe Bryant, the best basketball player in the world, do some of the most basic drills every morning at 4 a.m. How are you going to do this? I think you guys, we shared this video in one of our meetings, right? And it just kind of changed my mindset inside of my business too. And this is when it really took off. He asked me, he goes, Kobe, you're the best basketball player in the world. Why are you doing the basic drills every day? And Kobe responded, why do you think I'm the best basketball player in the world? Because I never get bored with the basics.
Amateurs practice to get it right. Professionals practice to never get it wrong.
Right. And I just told myself, okay, I paused the video and I said, okay, what's the basics in our business, right? And I told myself what my basics were, and now I focus on doing that every day. My business is taking off. Yeah, some days are more complex, but as long as I focus on the basic stuff, everything else will fall into place.
All right. Well, yeah. What are the basics? What are your basics? Tell us, buddy.
In real estate investing, what is it? Looking at properties and making offers, right? So my goal every single day is to evaluate 2 properties a day and make 1 offer. When I started doing that, I think I got, what was it, Jim? I had 6 straight weeks with the deal. I did like 8 deals in 6 weeks.
It's amazing.
2 weeks ago, I said I started getting away from it and I hadn't had a deal. So I started doing it again. And I got 2 deals in 2 weeks.
So let me ask you a question. Then I'm about to go on a soapbox moment here. Like, oh, I love this so much. Why do you do what you do?
It's honestly from my family and my kids, right? I didn't grow up with a ton of money and a lot of advantages, and I want to give my kids more than what I had. And I want to give myself more than I had. That's honestly the only reason I get up and do this, is to give myself and my family stuff that we never had. The ability to take time.
So, if there's one key takeaway, okay, soapbox moment here on this, that you guys could get from Joe. Has been with us now for 18 months or 2 years. What is it again?
March was my 1 year anniversary.
March was the 1 year. So it's only been about a year and some change now. And he's kicked some major tail. This guy's been dominating this real estate game. And I think the biggest difference between Joe and some other people that kind of don't really get off the ground quite as quick is he's so crystal clear on his vision. 2 properties per day, 1 offer per day. And why am I doing it? For my family, I want to build a better life for them than what I had growing up. And when you know your why and you know the outcome, what your goal is for the day, and you're that specific, There's not anything that can stop you guys. It's really that simple. And we get so caught up in our head, well, I got to know this or I got to know that. And like, well, what if this and what if that? And you spend half your day just kind of thinking away when you could have gone out and looked at 2 houses and made 1 offer, right?
Or when the days that you don't know what to do, well, I don't care if they're crappy deals, right? They could be deals where they're at retail. They could be on the MLS. Evaluate them, figure out what price does it work for you, and make an offer. There's a 99% chance that it's going to get rejected and you're going to move on. You can check off today that you worked, you did your job. But like Caleb said, you submit 50 of them. What if you get it and you made 50 grand?
I mean, 50 grand will change a lot of people's lives. A lot of people.
Well, I mean, if you pick that up, if you do that every day, I guarantee you'll probably pick up 5 extra deals a year. If you pick up 5 extra, I don't know about you, but I would love 5 extra deals. I mean, if you have no other thing to do, just jump on the MLS, search 100 plus days on market, and submit an offer, or call the agent and feel them out. Whatever. Right? It could even be a verbal offer. Just evaluate something.
Yeah, you're going to aggravate some people, and some people are going to get mad at you, but you're going to put deals together.
There's deals I've done on the MLS that don't look like good. You know, we get in this mind, oh, it's not a wholesale, it's not a wholesale, it's not a rehab. Well, if I can pick it up for X price, I know it'll appraise for this. And now guess what? I just picked up another lease to purchase property and I got a great deal on it. I can refinance it. The deal that, you know, we would have lost money rehabbing. Now I'm making $300 a month on, and I have a little bit of equity. I mean, it only cost me $5 grand.
Yeah, so I hope you guys understand, everybody listening to this, the power of the simplicity. Like what we're talking about here sounds so like, of course, duh. And then a lot of the people listening to this aren't going to like get that simplified and actually do the activities. But there's a reason why Kobe Bryant became the best player for a couple of years span at basketball. He did something over the basics over and over and over and over again. And we see all in YouTube University. You see a bandit sign on wheels program. You see virtual bandit signs. You see cold calling. You see text blasting. You see all these different things of ways you can find deals. And all of them, honestly, someone probably has found a deal from every single strategy you can possibly imagine. But the difference between a Kobe Bryant professional investor and someone else that's just starting out is they do it for a whole year, 2 properties a day, 1 offer, repeat it over and over and over and over again. And it gets a little bit boring sometimes, doesn't it, Joe?
It gets very boring. And the worst part, you know, I personally also I'm not allowed to go golfing until I evaluate 2 properties and I submit an offer. You have to hold yourself responsible, right? That's part of it too.
But I'm sure you also have a mentor that holds you accountable too.
Okay, so hey, how can so anybody listening in, if you want to reach out and kind of get a hold of Joe, like what's a good way to contact, good way for you to for them to reach out to you?
Phone, text, email, smoke signal, whatever.
Give us your Facebook. What's your Facebook?
It's just my name, Joe Jordan. I don't really have a Facebook like a business page, so.
All right, so Joe Jordan.
Reach out to me.
Yeah, and if you want this guy to help you out with some of your wholesale deals, just deals@3doors.com. He'll get some set of eyes on and see how he can help you put that together too. So,
and we're making that simple too, guys. It's just, if we can't buy it, we're going to help you. We talk about being simple. This is what we're trying to do for you, for other wholesalers and investors out there. If you need a deal, call us. If you want to sell a deal, call us. I mean, it's that simple.
Hey, don't forget, if you're out there like Joe Jordan was and you're all on your own trying to figure this whole real estate game out, we help people just like you crush your fears and get to the next level every single day. And we can help you too. To find everything on this episode and all the additional resources we have available, go to doorstodeals.com/050. And our best resources for those of you that are in St. Louis, you can send us your wholesale properties at deals@3doors.com. We can help you wholesale the deal. We can buy it. We can do it at lightning speed. We help you get top dollar for your properties, and even put together deals that maybe you thought were dead. We can put together and salvage. So if you need cash to put together deals as well, whether it's a flip or a rental, apply at 3doorsfunding.com. We can close crazy fast in as little as 5 days and underwrite it based on the property and not the borrower. And final note for you agents out there, don't forget to check out our 5 to 5 million challenge, where we show you how to attract 5 key relationships into your business that will generate you $5 million in business every single year. The link to the challenge can be found on doorstodeals.com/050. Go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Until next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock Doors to Deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.